Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV Profit. I'm Hersh Sayta, and with me is the man of the moment, Mr. Dinesh Khara. It's a pleasure, sir, first off, interviewing you. This has always been a dream. And but let me first off start by speaking about the Q1 FY25 numbers. So it's your last full quarter as chairman of SBI. Margins contracting a little bit. Talk to us about the levers for both margins as well as profitability going forward for SBI.
See, as far as margins are concerned, it's a function of our cost of deposit, cost of resources, and our ability to generate the yield on advances and yield on investments. So we are very mindful in terms of our cost of resources and cost of deposit. And it's very clearly reflected by the, if at all we look at our increase in cost of deposit by about 45 basis point. But when we look at our NIMs, it has only come down by about 11 basis point. So that very clearly is a reflection that we are very mindful in terms of how should we raise our resources and what costs we should raise our resources and how should we deploy them, in what portfolio we should deploy them. So we are very clearly focused, and that is one of the reasons why I would say that I'm quite hopeful that we should be in a position to maintain the NIMs around this level, and we should get to see minimum possible drop in the NIMs going forward.
So, sir, you've grown profit at just about 1% on a year-on-year basis. If this were to happen, which is you were to hold NIMs, would that mean that profits would technically rise as much as at least credit growth is for you?
See, the point is that this one quarter is, first quarter is always a bit different quarter. And in this particular case also it's likewise. And this 1% kind of a growth is seen in the context of the elevated cost of resources. As I mentioned, that it has gone up by about 45 basis point. So if at all we would have been in a position to maintain the cost of resources at where we were, then perhaps the profit would have looked even better. So that is something which has to be kept in mind. But having said that, I must also mention that even our yield on advances have also improved. And even for that matter, even our yield on investment has also improved. Even yield on investment has improved by almost about 20 basis point in one quarter. And also when it comes to our yield on advances, even that has also witnessed a decent number. Today our yield on advances is somewhere around 8.86. Yield on investment is at about 7.20. What has happened is that since our loan book is growing, and with that we have to go for the aging provision. That is something which has happened. These are all standard assets, so where the aging provision is one major factor which is seen. Apart from that, we have also seen some little bit of distraction in our retail unsecured loan book, and that was essentially attributed to some delayed credit of salary in various salary package accounts where people had availed the unsecured loan. Out of about 7,900 worth of slippages, 7,900 crore worth of slippages, almost 1,600 crore slippages have already been pulled back. So that's a very clear reflection that it was merely a temporary phenomenon. That's the reason why we have seen higher provisions, and I don't think that it will be a secular trend going forward. Our credit quality is pretty good. As far as our SME is concerned, our NPA, gross NPA is somewhere around 3.5. When it comes to retail, it is when it comes to retail, it is all less than 1, much less than 1. And when it comes to our corporate book also, it is somewhere around 2. So I think these kind of numbers are something which is a reflection of very healthy trend. Incidentally, our PCR also in the corporate book could be somewhere around 93-94%. So there's hardly any challenge. Some bit of a provisioning is done just to ensure that the balance sheet should never get weakened, and that's the kind of a thing. Though the conduct of the account does not warrant the provisioning, but still we have done some provisioning like that also.
And sir, talk to us about deposit growth, because it's come off for you sequentially. On a higher base, I would say 3.5% last quarter on a sequential basis. Now you're slightly off that. Do you believe this is a system level issue which is playing out on SBI's book, or do you believe that will reverse fairly quickly as well?
See, part of it is a system level issue also, but I would like to say that deposit growth is one number, but at what cost the deposit is growing is something which we cannot lose sight of. we are very mindful in terms of the cost at which our deposit should grow, and that is the reason why even now also we are at about 68% as far as the credit deposit ratio is concerned. So we don't want to unnecessarily load our cost of resources. We want to be very pragmatic in terms of how should we really operate this lever. Having said that, I must also mention that we perceive deposit as a franchise, and we don't want to compromise our depositors' interest either. And that is one of the reasons why in the term deposit in different buckets where there is a maximum demand, we have increased our deposit rates also to take care of our depositors' interest. So, for a banker, one has to strike a very fine balance among various conflicting demands, and that is something which we have ensured.
Understood. So, with regard to this being your last quarter, what do you want to be remembered as? If I were to ask you, one positive, one negative, what is your legacy with regard to SBI as SBI Chairman for 4 years?
I think each quarter we have improved upon the corresponding quarter of the previous year. That is something, and that is one of the reasons why when we did some analysis and we observed that in the last 4 years' time, we have generated a profit number of about 1.6 trillion and odd. And in last about 6 years plus, our profit number was somewhere around 1.45 trillion. And the other very important factor is that out of this 1.6 trillion profit which we generated, we have plowed back 1.14 trillion. So we have actually given adequate strength to our balance sheet to support the growth, and also at the same time generate much better value for all our shareholders in terms of higher ROA and higher ROE. So this is something which we have ensured, and thanks to the team SBI, we have also seen a significant improvement in productivity at the branches. When it comes to our savings bank average balances that have gone up, and it is much higher than our next competitor. So these are some of the things. It's a focus on the core banking, and while having a focus on the core banking, a due emphasis on the efficiency parameters is something which I would see the bank has really picked up on. So I would say that this is something which gives me a lot of satisfaction and happiness.
Right. So my last question to you, I know we're a bit stretched, is with regard to a possible equity fundraise. Would that be coming fairly quickly, given the kind of loan growth that we're seeing, given the kind of opportunities you are seeing in the market? And what gives you the confidence that post that, ROAs will sustain at that 1.1 to 1.2% mark?
The way I read the situation is that even with the current kind of equity also, we should be in a position to support the loan book growth of almost about 7 trillion. And we have seen in the past also that every year out of profit we have deployed a significant portion, in fact plowed back a significant portion, and that will be our strategy going forward. But as a bank, we keep on reviewing this situation on an ongoing basis, and if at all at any point of time it is felt that there is a need for raising capital, I'm sure appropriate decision will be taken. But nevertheless, we have taken some approval from the board today in terms of raising about 20,000 crore worth of AT1, Tier 1 and Tier 2. So this is something which has been taken. It is essentially to augment our risk-bearing capital.
Understood. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure interacting with you always. So what plans post-retirement?
I think I'll have to wait and watch. What should I adopt? What should I go for? Okay. I will certainly be active and meaningful for the system.
So we'll watch out for that. It's always been a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned to NDTV Profit.